I hope you're all doing okay. So today's video is going to be a kind of part one of a sewing week in my life. So I thought I would try something a little bit different this week. I do sewing days in my life, and I do have quite a few sewing days in my life videos on my channel, which you can go back and watch if you want to. This week I thought I would try something different and do a sewing week in my life. So this week I have a dress to make, and I really want to kind of get stuck into that slowly. So I'm not very good at slow sewing, which I've mentioned before on my channel. Once I get started sewing something, I tend to just want to run with it and not stop. So this week I'm going to try and teach myself to do a little bit of slow sewing and dip in and out of making this dress over a whole week, rather than just allocating a couple of days where I just try and get the whole thing done at once. And I think that'll be really good for me. So my plan for this video as well is actually to split it up into two parts. So I have been experimenting with doing 2 videos a week, and I'm really enjoying doing that actually. I love catching up with you all midweek as well as weekends. So yeah, I'm just experimenting really and seeing how this goes. So Wednesday's video is going to be part 1 of me making this dress, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. And then hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, on Sunday I will be putting out part 2, where I will hopefully have a finished dress to show you, but we'll see how it goes. If you are new to my channel, I'm Sally, and my channel is Secret Life of a Seamstress. I talk mainly all about sewing and dressmaking and making a handmade wardrobe. I do talk also about knitting and crochet as well, because they are 2 of my other favourite crafts, but mainly all about sewing and dressmaking and making clothes for myself and sometimes my family as well. So if you are new here, welcome, and thank you so much if you are a regular viewer and subscriber and you're joining me again today. If you are new, I'd love you to consider subscribing to my channel. I tend to post weekly and sometimes twice a week these days, talking all about what I'm up to sewing wise, things I've made, sewing news, sewing plans, fabric hauls and things like that. So I'd love to have you as a subscriber. You can also follow me over on Instagram at Secret Life of a Seamstress, where I tend to post daily pretty much, at least on stories anyway, and I post much more photos of what I'm doing and what I'm up to and what I've made over there as well. So I'd love to have you as a follower over there as well. So a little bit of a catch up on life. We are just off of half term here in the UK. It's been the October half term, which is actually one of my favourite half terms. I love October, I love autumn, and I love everything about this time of year. But this half term was a little bit of a funny one. We had a little bit of a weird lead up to half term, I'd say, really. So my husband works away quite a lot. He travels for work, and he was away for 10 days before half term. As well as that, my poor little dog, who you will have seen quite a lot, probably on this channel and definitely over on Instagram, had to have quite a big operation, because unfortunately we found a lump on his bottom area, which had to be tested and biopsied and eventually removed and sent off for testing to see if it was cancerous. Unfortunately, it did come back that it was cancerous, but they think, as far as they can tell, they have removed the whole lump. So we're really keeping our fingers crossed that he will be okay now. But it was quite a big operation for him, poor thing. He had to wear a cone for 10 days, which he absolutely hated. He was miserable. He wouldn't drink for a while. He wouldn't even go to the toilet. Yeah, it was a bit dramatic, and I was on my own looking after him, and then obviously my 2 children as well, who are older now and tend to look after themselves quite a lot. But nonetheless, you know, it was quite a busy time before half term, and on top of that, for the 3 days before half term started, my son got ill. He had a really bad cold, so he was off school as well. And yeah, it just seemed a little bit sort of stressful and a little bit of a trying time, we'll say. So I was really looking forward to this half term. My husband was planning to be off on holiday because he had been away for so long, travelling and things. But unfortunately, for the week of half term, he caught COVID after I don't know how many years of managing to avoid it. Myself and the children got sick with COVID last year, around this time actually. And my husband managed to avoid it and not catch it at all. And my daughter caught it again in January this year, and he still managed to avoid it. But for some reason, however COVID works, I don't know, it's very strange. Anyway, he managed to catch it for half term. So we ended up with him having to pretty much isolate really. There are no real rules here in the UK about COVID anymore. You don't legally have to isolate, but obviously morally it's best if you do, and you do stay away from people. So he ended up staying at home, and then myself and the children were obviously testing to make sure that we were okay and we could go out and about. So we were still able to go out and about, but we didn't go out and about quite as much as we had planned to, and we tended to sort of stick to outside activities as much as we could, just in case. So yeah, it was a bit of a strange half term, and not necessarily the half term we were planning, but it did kind of force us to slow down a little bit. We had a little bit more time at home than we were expecting to, and we kind of just chilled out. So yeah, that was our half term. So we're back to it today. It's the Monday of when school would start. So I've got one child back at school today and one on a training day. My older son is home today as well. But he is being a teenager up in his room at the moment, so I thought I would just start this video. And that was a lot of waffly chat about my half term. So if you've been on half term as well this week, I really hope that you had a lovely time and a lovely break. And wherever you are, I hope you had a good week as well. So in terms of life for me, I'm just feeling a little bit sort of tired at the moment. I think with everything that sort of happened in the lead up to half term, I really got out of healthy habits. I think I wasn't walking the dog so much because he couldn't be walked because he was unwell, and I just felt as though I was just sort of sleeping in till the last minute before the alarm clock went off to get the children up for school, and I wasn't, as I say, walking so much, so I wasn't getting as much fresh air and things like that, and just kind of fell into bad habits. So I feel as though now that we're kind of back to normal and everyone's going back to school this week, I really want to start being a little bit more healthy and a little bit more in my usual routine. So something that I try to do, and it doesn't always happen, is to get up a good hour before I have to wake the children up, just so that I can have a bit of time. I really try to do some yoga because I do suffer quite a bit. I don't know if any other sewists actually suffer with this, with your neck and shoulders being really tense, and I think it's probably from the way you sit over the sewing machine, and obviously cutting out as well is quite hunched, isn't it, and knitting as well and things like that. I do find that I suffer a little bit with my neck and shoulder area, so I try to do some yoga every day, just a little bit, and just a really easy yoga, just to sort of get myself moving really. I've been really bad at drinking water and taking my vitamins and things like that. So for me, my morning routine kind of involves getting up. I do a bit of quiet time. So for me, that looks like prayer and Bible reading. And then I try to do a little bit of yoga. And then we've also slipped out of the habit of walking to school as well. We've been going in the car, which is really stressful because the parking around our schools is awful. It's much better for us to walk. So I really just want to get us back into healthy habits this week, I think. So I'm going to go back to my planner and do a little bit of habit tracking and see how I get on with that. I don't know about anyone else, but I just feel as though if I write things down, I'm much more likely to do them and stick to them. So that's what I'm going to try and do this week. Anyway, that was a lot of life chat, I feel. So let me tell you about what I'm planning to sew this week. So I mentioned recently that I wanted to make the Tilde Shirt Dress by Tilde Dupe. So this was one of the 5 patterns that I wanted to sew up for autumn and winter, and I do have a video talking all about my plans and the 5 patterns that I really want to sew for autumn winter time this year. I have already made one of them, I'm pleased to say, because it was probably the most difficult one of the patterns I chose. I've made my Jack Trench now by Ready to Sew. So that's one autumn make ticked off my list. Another pattern that I really wanted to sew up was this one, and it's the Tilde Dupe Tilde Shirt Dress. So this is a really lovely shirt dress. I'll see if I can find some line drawings. So the line drawings are here, they're quite small. I hope you can see them. I'll pop in a little picture as well, just in case they don't show up clearly on the camera. So it's quite a sort of a basic shirt dress, I guess. It has 2 collar options. So you can either sew a mandarin collar or you can sew a collar on a stand. And this is the option that I'm going to go for, the proper sort of collar on a stand shirt dress. And then it has some lovely sleeves here with a gathered sleeve, which is gathered nicely into a cuff, and then it falls at around midi length. So I'm really looking forward to trying out this pattern, I feel the desperate urge to sew a dress. So recently I've been sewing quite a lot of knit projects actually, and although knits are necessary, they're not necessarily what I like to sew, and I've mentioned that before, so I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into a good viscose dress project. So I actually bought this pattern from the Fold line again, and I had it printed out as an AO copy shop file. So that's come all folded up nicely like this, and I don't actually want to unfold it because it looks so nice and neat. But I'm going to have to unfold it and cut into it in a minute, of course, if I ever want to get this dress made up. And I do like how the patterns get sent out with one of these envelopes as well. So you can store your pattern in this envelope, and then you can actually write on here any adjustments or amendments or notes that you want to make, or the size that you've made. I'm terrible at keeping notes for adjustments and things I've made on patterns. So yeah, this is a really good idea, I think. So I've had a quick look at the sizes for this dress, and I think I'm going to cut a size 6 because those measurements are actually slightly bigger. And I'm hoping I've measured right and I'm translating this all correctly. But the size 6 measurements actually come out slightly bigger than I am. I'm a 32 bust, 26 waist and 36 hips, and it looks as though the measurements for a size 6 come out slightly bigger than that. And I've also looked at the finished garment measurements as well, and it does look like the dress is quite oversized compared to the actual body measurements. So I think if I go for the smallest size, I'll actually be okay because it is quite roomy up at the top. And then obviously the dress is belted in at the waist as well, so there is a little bit of sort of oversizedness there that you can pull in at the waist with this nice belt. And this is the fabric that I'm going to be using to cut out this dress. I shared this as one of the fabrics that I picked up from the knitting and stitching show, which I went to earlier in October. It was a really good fun day, and I do have a video sharing everything I brought at the knitting and stitching show if you want to pop over and watch that if you haven't already, and I'll link it down below. But yeah, this is a reasonably cheap viscose, I would say. Feels slightly polyestery, but it does feel nice and stable, as if it's going to be nice to cut and sew. So I'm going to use this as a kind of wearable twirl of this dress, I think. See how it turns out, and see if there are any alterations that I want to make next time. And if I do make this again, I might invest in a slightly more pricey, more quality fabric, maybe. We will see. In terms of the length, I'm 5'3" height. I do think this dress is going to come up long on me, but I'm not going to make any alterations to the length just yet because I want to see exactly how long it is, and then I want to try it on with boots and things that I want to wear with the dress and then alter afterwards. The dress does have a nice straight hemline, so it shouldn't be too difficult if I do need to take it up a little bit when I've made the dress. So I'm going to get on and cut out this pattern now. My aim for today is to just get the pattern and the fabric cut out. That always feels like my hardest part, I think. Once I'm over that hurdle and I've cut everything out, I'm then just really excited to get on. And so that's my aim for today, and then hopefully throughout the week I could just do a bit of sewing here and there and try and get this dress made up. Oh, before I go, I'll just quickly mention what I'm wearing. So today I'm wearing another Logan jacket. This is my one in yarn dyed viscose linen in like an indigo denim-y look colour, and I just have it over a t-shirt today, which is from Next, and a pair of leggings. Everything out now, and that was a little bit of a task, let's say. I seem to have picked another very vague pattern. So there were parts of the pattern, of the printed pattern, where I just couldn't see where I was supposed to be cutting. There are so many lines, but it turns out, I don't know if I can show you actually. There's nothing to say this in the pattern, at least not where I could see anywhere. Please correct me if I'm wrong and I've missed something. But there's nothing to say this anywhere written down. But the pattern is drawn out such that the main cutting lines are in a dark black, and then the seam line is also printed onto the pattern piece. So you can see hopefully the thinner line there. And then you've got your usual side lines as well. And the side lines are like this at the bottom. So I didn't realise I had to actually go onto Instagram and search the hashtag of this dress and find someone who had previously made it who might be able to help me. So thank you so much to the lovely Alison of Ali Sewn, who I messaged and said, help, I see you've made this dress before, can you help me with how to cut these pattern pieces out, because I was completely stumped. But anyway, Alison was able to help me, so thank you so much if you are watching this video, it really did help. So basically the pattern is drawn so that you have the dotted lines that you normally have to cut for your size. They have a cutting line and then also a seam line guide as well, which is actually quite helpful really, but it would have been way more helpful if that was written somewhere on the printed pattern so that you knew what you were doing, because it just looks as though there are lines everywhere and you don't quite know where you're supposed to be cutting. But anyway, I have got there now and I've got all my pieces cut out, but it took much longer than I was expecting it to. And I always underestimate cutting time anyway. It's probably one of my worst flaws. I always think, oh, I'll just cut this out, it'll take about an hour, and then 2 hours later I'm still interfacing and putting pattern markings on and things like that. So I've got about an hour and a quarter before I need to leave for the school run, so I'm going to try and get the dress cut out before then. And then, yeah, I think that'll be it for today, because I do have some other jobs to do, like ironing, all the fun things like that. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Our HelloFresh delivery has just arrived. Is anyone else doing HelloFresh at the moment? We've been doing it for quite a few months now actually. We were trying it, this is not an ad by the way, we tried it a few months ago because someone we knew had a discount, which means that you get it really heavily discounted, so we thought we'd give it a go. And actually it's been really good because I'm not a natural sort of cook. I'm not very adventurous with cooking really. I don't particularly enjoy it. I just do it because I have to. So it's really good for sort of getting new inspiration for dinners that you can have. So for us, I felt as though we were getting quite stuck in a rut with cooking the same dinners that I knew we would all eat and everything. So yeah, it's given us a little bit of new inspiration for dinner cooking, I think. So I've unpacked all of that now, and now I have about an hour and a quarter, as I say, so I'm going to quickly get this dress cut out, hopefully. So I will stop talking for today and leave it here with the chat, and I'll just pop in a little bit of footage of the cutting out and possibly the rest of the day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tuesday. So today is a bit of a miserable day. It's so black and looks like it's going to chuck it down. It's a proper autumn day today, which is quite nice really. It always feels really cozy. And it is the 1st of November today, so I guess we are heading into proper autumn time now. So I need to be prepared for this weather. I kind of like it actually. Anyway, so yeah, today is Tuesday. Yesterday I did manage to cut out all of the pattern pieces for the dress. It took ages, or it felt like it took ages. It took me right up until school run time, so that was the hour and a quarter. So yeah, it was a bit of a long one, and I felt like it was the most awkward cutting out session ever. I felt as though I had everything out everywhere. I'll put in a bit of video footage actually, because I recorded a little bit of the mess for an Instagram reel. But yeah, everything was in absolute chaos. I just had everything out everywhere, and yeah, I just felt like I was just kind of struggling around the dining table. But I think with the dress, the pieces were quite big, so I was kind of having to manoeuvre around the dining table to get everything cut out. But it's all done now. So I'm just back from the morning school run actually. I did a good morning routine this morning. Got up early, did my quiet time, did a little bit of a yoga video. I do yoga with Adrian, which I'll link below actually, just in case anyone's interested, because I find her so good. She's literally got a yoga video for every condition you could possibly have, I think. So I do find her really useful. And when I'm feeling like I am at the moment, where I'm feeling a bit sort of stiff and out of shape, I always fall back to this really old video of hers, which is just a really gentle morning yoga routine, and it's just sort of gentle stretches really. So I always come back to that one if I'm feeling that way. It's about 20 minutes long, so it's just perfect, and it goes through your whole body. So it just gives you a sort of a bit of stretch and movement before you do anything else in the day, which I think is really good. So I've done that. When I get home from the school run in the morning, I always have a mad dash around the house to tidy everything up, because I feel as though I can't start work or anything until everything's tidy. So I tend to do that. Then I go on the computer, check emails and check things like that. And this morning I did my planner as well. So I'm still doing the 6-minute planner, which had also kind of fallen by the wayside a bit before half term because everything felt a bit stressful, but I've come back to that. And it's just about writing intentions for your day, giving yourself a couple of goals and things that you want to get done, and then completely stopping. So I'm quite bad if I have sort of videos to edit or blogs to do or anything. I feel as though I just want to keep going and going, but it's actually better for you sometimes if you just stop and have a rest and then come back to things the next day. So this planner is all about just getting your main things done and then stopping and then coming back the next day a fresh kind of thing. In a minute I'm supposed to be going for a dog walk actually with my friend, but the weather is not looking good, so I'm not quite sure what we're going to do about that. But I would like to get out for a walk because we didn't walk to school this morning because of the weather. So it would be nice to get out for a dog walk at some point. So before I do that, I'm just gonna set up my sewing space so that when I get back from our walk, I'm all ready to go and I can hopefully get some sewing done today. So I'll catch up with you later. So I was thinking that I might have to change my overlocker thread to black, but actually there's so much white in this fabric. I think I might actually get away with using the white that's already in the overlocker, which is good. I hate changing my overlocker thread, so that's a bonus. And I think I've got the tension pretty good there as well, so that's good. Good to go. So while I'm sewing today, I'm just going to listen to a podcast. I'm really getting into podcasts at the moment actually, and I'm really enjoying listening to them when I walk the dog or when I'm walking to school, like on my own before I pick my daughter up. And now sometimes while I'm sewing as well. I don't always listen to anything when I'm sewing. It depends how much concentration is needed because I feel as though I'm slacking in either area, so I might just not be concentrating properly on my sewing, or I might not really be listening to what I've got on. But I'm going to try it and see how I go. So I've been listening to a podcast called Finding Joy in Your Home. It's actually a Christian lady that does the podcast, so it is coming from a Christian angle. But it's all about sort of finding joy in your home. This lady has 7 children, so she's obviously very busy, and her life looks a bit different to mine at the moment because she has very young children. But still I'm finding that a lot of it is really relevant to me. So in terms of sort of productivity in the home and as a mum, and sort of homely and housewifey tasks and things that we sometimes find difficult when we're working as well, and how to be productive. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's just really nice to listen to, and obviously if you are a Christian then there's that Christian aspect to it as well. But I am up for podcast recommendations actually, so if you have any good ones that you would like to recommend, then let me know in the comments. Obviously sewing ones are a good one for me. I don't listen to many sewing podcasts actually, I need to start that. But also I really like listening to sort of businessy ones and productivity ones and goal setting and things like that. I find them really inspirational to me as well, so let me know in the comments if you have anything to recommend. I've just sewn the darts in the front and done the button bands, and I seem to have a knack at the moment for picking fabric that does not want to press. This fabric was listed as a viscose at the Knitting and Stitching show, but I'm pretty sure it must be like a polyester or something actually, because it's not pressing at all, and it's definitely going to be slightly on the static side, I think. So that's where I'm at the moment. I am enjoying this though. I'm using a pressing cloth to put over the fabric so that I can give it a good steam and it doesn't stick to the iron too much, but even so it's a little bit of a task to get it to do anything. And you had to press over 1 centimetre to tuck it behind at the back of the button band, so I was really fiddling around trying to get that neat, but yes, a little bit of progress so far. Okay, so I have just done the burrito method for the back yoke. If I can find it. It's so hard to see what you're doing with this fabric. It's so busy, I just can't really see what I'm doing, and I keep doubting myself thinking, oh, I've done it wrong, and then I look at it and I think, oh no, it's okay. So yeah, the burrito method, I tried to film a little bit of it there, but I don't think I did a very good job of it because I was so into what I'm doing. I've done this before on the patina blouse and the Davenport dress by Friday Pattern Company. This one is done slightly differently in that you roll up and seam the shoulder seams rather than the back yoke. So it was so fiddly, you had to roll the really long back and front into the yoke, and then you sew together the shoulder seams, and there's just so much fabric in between the two seams that I was finding it really difficult to get it under the sewing machine. But it's done now, so I'm actually onto the sleeves now. It looks as though everything's done before you do the collar. I'm actually going out for my walk at 1 o'clock and it's 10 to 12 now, so I'm going to carry on till about 12:30, and then I'm going to have some lunch and then I'll see how I get on. So yeah, onto the sleeves already. So I got slightly ahead of myself there when I said I was onto the sleeves. I forgot completely that I needed to sew the side seams. So I sewed the side seams and I sewed one of the side seams completely inside out. So I just had to sit there and unpick that, which you must have seen. And then while I was unpicking, I managed to slip with the unpicker and go straight through my finger. It was so painful. I've never done that before. It's not really bleeding too much actually, but it was a little bit. I didn't want to get blood on the fabric. So yeah, that was something new. That's never happened to me before, but I think when things like that start to happen, it means that you need to stop. So I'm going to stop sewing for now. I'm going to have my lunch and then see if we get out for a walk. So here's where I am at the moment with this. Hopefully you can see. So I've done the button bands. I'm sure you won't be able to see any of this in this fabric, but I'll hold it up anyway. So button bands down there, and then the nice burrito method finished yoke. So it's really nicely finished on the inside. The yoke actually has a little bit of a point in the middle of it, so that looks really pretty. Although this fabric is a bit of a pain to sew and press, it is really pretty, I have to say. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. So next is actually the sleeves, and you have to do the bottom of the sleeve and put it into the cuff before you actually put it into the armholes of this. And then it will be the collar. So that will be in part 2 of this video. So I'm going to kind of finish the video up here. Tomorrow is a Wednesday. A Wednesday is when I go to Pilates class in the morning actually with my friend, which is always really nice. And then Wednesday is also normally the day that I write my blog for Threads monthly. So that tends to be a non-sewing day, a day that I don't think I'm really going to fit any sewing in unless I sew in the evening. So I'm going to finish the video here, and if I manage to get anything else done, then I'll put a little bit of footage in after I finish talking. But thanks so much for watching so far. If you are new and you haven't already subscribed, I'd love you to consider subscribing to my channel. And if you have enjoyed the video so far, please do give it a like. So I will be back on Sunday with part 2 of this video, where I'll just include a little bit more of life stuff and also some sewing, and hopefully, fingers crossed, get this dress finished. So I'd love you to tune in on Sunday for my regular 8 AM upload video. That would be fab. Thanks so much as always for watching. Take care everyone, and I'll look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.